Team 2, and you retired as Vice Admiral of the Navy, correct?
That's correct, Congressman.
All right. And despite the fact that after that service, you became acting DNI 23 days after the Trump-Zelensky call and 4 days after the whistleblower made his or her complaint, you were subpoenaed before this committee after being publicly accused of committing a crime, correct?
Yes, Congressman.
Chairman Schiff wrote a letter on September 13th accusing you of being part of a, quote, unlawful cover-up, and then the Speaker of the House took it one step further. She went on national TV and said not once but twice that you broke the law, that you committed a crime. She said the acting director of national intelligence blocked him, meaning the ICIG, from disclosing the whistleblower complaint. This is a violation of the law. You were publicly accused of committing a crime. You were also falsely accused of committing a crime. As you have so accurately related, you were required to follow not just an opinion of what the law is, but the opinion from the Justice Department, an 11-page opinion about whether or not you were required by law to report the whistleblower complaint, correct?
That's correct, Congressman.
And that opinion says, the question is whether such a complaint falls within the statutory definition of urgent concern that the law requires the DNI to forward to the Intelligence Committee. We conclude that it does not. Did I read that accurately?
Yes.
I better have, right? That's an opinion not from Bill Barr. That's an opinion from the Department of Justice ethics lawyers, not political appointees, but career officials that serve Republicans and Democrats, the ethics lawyers at the Department of Justice that determined that you did follow the law. So you were publicly accused, you were also falsely accused, and yet here today, I haven't heard anything close to an apology for that. Welcome to the House of Representatives with Democrats in charge. Let me turn to the matter that we're here for. A lot of talk about this whistleblower complaint. The question is, at this point, given what we have, why all the focus on this whistleblower? The best evidence of what President Trump said to President Zelensky is a transcript of what President Trump said to President Zelensky. I'm not casting aspersions on the whistleblower's good faith or their intent, but a secondhand account of something someone didn't hear isn't as good as the best evidence of what was actually said. And to that point, despite good faith, the whistleblower is in fact wrong in numerous respects. And I know everyone's not going to have time to read the whistleblower's complaint, but the whistleblower says that I am deeply concerned, talking about the president, that there was a serious or flagrant problem, abuse, or violation of the law. The whistleblower then goes on to say, I was not a direct witness to the events described. However, I found my colleagues' accounts of this to be credible. And then talking about those accounts of which this whistleblower complaint is based on, the whistleblower tells us the officials that I spoke with told me, and I was told that, and I learned from multiple U.S. officials that, and White House officials told me that, and I also learned from multiple U.S. officials that. In other words, all of this is secondhand information. None of it is firsthand information. The whistleblower then goes on to cite additional sources besides those secondhand information. Those sources happen to include mainstream media. The sources that the whistleblower bases his complaints on include the Washington Post, the New York Times, Politico, The Hill, Bloomberg, ABC News, and others. In other words, much like the Steele dossier, the allegations in the whistleblower's complaints are based on third-hand mainstream media sources rather than first-hand information. The whistleblower also appears to allege crimes not just against the president, but says with regard to this scheme to solicit interference from a foreign country in the 2020 election that, quote, the president's personal lawyer, Mr. Rudolph Giuliani, is a central figure in this effort, and Attorney General Barr appears to be involved as well. But buried in a footnote, a couple of pages later, the whistleblower admits, I do not know the extent to which, if at all, Mr. Giuliani is directly coordinating his efforts on the Ukraine with Attorney General Barr. Attorney General does know because he issued a statement yesterday saying there was no involvement. My point in all of this is, again, the transcript is the best evidence of what we have, and so that the American people are very clear what that transcript relates is legal communications. The United States is allowed to solicit help from a foreign government in an ongoing criminal investigation, which is exactly what President Trump did in that conversation. So if the Democrats are intent on impeaching the president for lawful conduct, then be my guest. I yield back.
Thank you, Congressman Radcliffe.
Mr. Heck.